Before the start of the 2024 season, the Florida State Seminoles had high hopes. They had the eye of the nation upon them. It's kind of like the eye of the Ranger for Walker, Texas Ranger. Anyway, if you know, you know. But you get a couple of weeks in and things have definitely changed. You get to this period and things have unbelievably changed. The Florida State Seminoles are just decimated. DJ's not playing against Clemson. The question is, does this game even matter anymore? I have an insider here. TJ, my old buddy, TJ from college, Football Addiction is here. He's going to talk about it in just a second. But first, welcome to the channel. I'm glad you're here. If you're in the tri-state area, in the, South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, I hope you're doing well. I hope you got your power back. I hope that you can find food that's not rotten. Or I'm actually not taunting you there. I hope you can. Hope you can get some fuel and there's no fights at the pumps. If you will, I hope you'll subscribe. It is free, so it's budget friendly. I do appreciate it. TJ, take it easy on us, Dabo. Man, thanks for coming on the show, but let's dive right in. Would you ever dreamt this in a million years that this would happen?
No, I don't think so. I think you thought there's maybe a chance you could limp into this thing at like 3-2. I certainly wasn't predicting that. Like I thought Florida State would be 5-0, maybe 4-1 worst case. But I think you could see a path where, I don't know, maybe you get upset by an upstart Georgia Tech team, and then SMU, had some preseason hype. So maybe you could lose those two, or maybe you drop to Memphis because they're a 10-win, one of those fluky games. But 3-2 worst case, 4-1 probably more realistic. 5-0. They were favored in all the games, right? They weren't favored the time of the game when they played at SMU, but they were favored in the first 4 games, right? And in the first 2 by double digits. And if they hadn't been 1-3 at that point, they would have been favored going in SMU too. So they were a preseason favorite by double digits in all 5 games. And to think about that, never in a million years would I have dreamed that Florida State would have 1 win when they came into this Clemson matchup. Just certainly, the fan base, the team, the staff, the boosters, just everyone involved, certainly shell shocked. Reality, what are the 5 stages of grief? Reality is setting in now. So we are at the acceptance stage of that. And so I wouldn't say anybody's still shell shocked, but nobody expected it to look like this with Clemson coming to town this weekend.
DJ, the whole story, history with Clemson, moving on to Oregon State, moving on to you guys. He's not playing this game. He's actually injured. Let's talk about those injuries. He has an injury to his hand. I even asked you before the show started, do you think it's real?
Yeah.
Are they trying to save him? You said, of course, but you also talked about some other injuries that he's been working through. He is the quarterback, and the quarterback is definitely going to receive praise when they win, and he's going to get a tube sock filled with bars of soap beat down when they lose. And he's been getting pretty beat up for the direction of this team. But let's talk about 2 parts here. First, the injury or injuries, and then let's move on to the second part. How much of this is on DJ and how much of this is just a good old-fashioned team effort?
Yeah, so on the injuries, he's got a broken bone in his hand. So he's not playing this weekend. It is very verified. They're not trying to save him from embarrassment or anything else like that. And you'll see on Saturday, our fans have been clamoring for the backup for a while. They've wanted Brock Glenn, and you'll find out on Saturday why Mike Norvell was not playing Brock Glenn, because it is going to be, as much criticism as DJ has taken, it is going to be significantly worse with Brock Glenn in there. And that's not a shot at Brock. I'm not trying to be a jerk. It's just not going to be very good. And it is a verifiable injury. I've been told that, and this is not confirmed, Florida State hasn't confirmed this, but during fall camp, he wasn't wearing a knee brace, and he's been wearing a knee brace in games now and in practices and stuff. And so, I think, you're wondering why he's moving so slowly. I think he's been suffering from a knee injury too. That's not confirmed. Florida State hasn't approved, said oh yeah, that's definitely happened. I've heard that through the grapevine. it would stand to reason why he's been moving so slowly and why it looks like he's got no athletic ability at all. And he's the slowest quarterback right now in college football. And so, yeah, I do think that he's been battling through that. And I think he would have continued to play through that when you get a broken finger or a broken, finger bone in your throwing hand. I think that's kind of where you have to like say, all right, we have to sit you down and you're not able to play. I do think that, and to follow up on that, and then I'll answer the second part. I do think that Florida State wanted DJ to start this game for a few reasons, probably 3 reasons. So I'll give you my top 3. Number 1, I do think out of a respect factor, I think they wanted DJ to get to play against his old team. Things are not going well. DJ's not playing especially well, but I do think that there was a respect level there that if Clemson wasn't right down the road and Florida State's schedule works out to where there's a bye right after, and then you play Duke on a Friday night, I think that would have been a very, very natural time for Florida State to then move on from DJ and put a backup in. For a few reasons. 1, the respect factor of letting DJ play against his old team. Number 2, you then get 2 weeks for the backup to take the first team reps. And you've got an opponent that's Duke, right? And Duke's 4-0 right now. I get it. Big comeback against UNC. But Duke is not Clemson, right? And this is not 2023. Duke is a much easier opponent than playing Clemson for a redshirt freshman starter coming in. And so I think for all those reasons, they would have let DJ play this game. I also don't think they wanted to throw, reason number 2, I don't think they wanted to throw a redshirt freshman out there against Clemson. As bad as DJ has been, as bad as the team has been recently, I don't think that they wanted to throw Brock Glenn out against this defense. I think that DJ probably gives you a better chance to win this game, as bad as he's been, than Brock Glenn does. And again, that might sound crazy to say. I know that DJ's not been good, but I think you'll find out on Saturday that Brock Glenn is probably not ready for this quite yet. And it lessens Florida State's chances of winning significantly. So for all of those reasons, I do think they wanted DJ to start this game. As far as where blame is assigned, how much, this, that, and the other, DJ has been a problem, and he hasn't been good. And in my opinion, again, he's been banged up. He's had some stuff he's working through, but he is probably, I think the offensive line has been worse than DJ has been. I think the wide receivers have been worse than DJ has been. I think coaching at times has been worse than DJ has been. I think the linebacker play has been worse than DJ has been. I think the effort on defense at times has been worse than DJ has been. And so there have certainly been issues and there have certainly been problems with this team and with DJ. But I don't think that you just say like, oh, well, man, if DJ just wasn't there, like Jordan Travis probably covers up enough mistakes. Like they probably are 4-1 or 5-0, right? Like 3-2 worst case. But this team isn't like, you don't put Jordan Travis on this team and don't change anything else and think that Clemson is going to lose this weekend. Or, oh man, if we just had Jordan Travis on our team, then we would beat Miami and Notre Dame. Like that's not the case at all. Like, could you have beaten BC or Georgia Tech? Probably, right? Like that. Yeah. He probably gives you 5 to 7 points. But so DJ has been a problem and he hasn't been good. But he's just been one of several problems on this roster this year. And it's easy to point, and the quarterback's going to get the most praise, the most credit, the most blame when things are good or bad. It's easy to point and say, like, I told you DJ wasn't going to work. I told you he was going to suck. I told you they couldn't fix him. And that's fair. That's fine. Like, he's not been good. But there have been so many other problems on this team and with this staff and with this roster that, yes, DJ's a problem. As bad as it's been the first 5 games, it's about to get a whole lot worse with the backup. And fans are going to find out why Mike Norvell kept starting DJ over everybody else.
TJ from College Football Addiction, Double Fries, No Slaw. I have both of those channel links below. TJ, you've been burning it up in the world of YouTube, and I'm glad you're here to talk about college football, especially Florida State and Clemson. So everybody go check him out. Got the links below this video. I mean, of course, wait till this video's over. Then go over there and drop a line, tell him hello, you saw him over here, and subscribe. You hit on something there that I've talked about a lot. I've actually watched Florida State play, and the low-hanging fruit is to blame everything on DJ and say, look, he's a loser. His dad's over here. He's his agent. He's going after as much attention he can garner for himself. Big Dave is doing this, and DJ is just a piece in that. DJ this, DJ that. Yes, DJ is the quarterback. Yes, DJ will have the limelight, whether it's good or bad. But that Florida State team as a whole, and this is no shot at Florida State fans. I know some of you are going to be like, TJ, you shouldn't be on the show because he's beaten. No, I've watched Florida State, and they're bad across the board. So if you want to go after someone, you're unfortunately going to have to go after the whole team, and just not easily go after DJ. Let's kind of spin our angle here, TJ. Florida State has nothing to lose in this game. Nothing. They are desperate, and one of the most dangerous individuals in life is when you encounter someone who's realized they have lost basically everything. Yeah. Now they are violently desperate. They can do some damage. Yeah. Do you see anything coming out? Florida State shocking the world. October 5th, 7:00. This coming Saturday.
I mean, maybe. I do think that you certainly have nothing to lose. The big problem is, right, like, to play devil's advocate to that, is that you also have very little to gain, right? Like, I don't know how much these kids care about, and the fans do, right? The fans, the coaches to some extent, right? The university, the boosters, they care, right? But how much do these kids really care about a rivalry win against Clemson in a lost season, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe the answer to that, maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe the answer is they really, really care and they want to shut. But I mean, I think they'll care more about Miami. I think they'll care more about Florida at the end of the day, because those are players they grew up against and teams that you have that deep-seated hate rival. I mean, I don't know. So yeah, you don't have much to lose, but I don't really know that they see it as some massive thing to gain either. Like, with the 12-team playoff, it's not like you're ruining Clemson's season. Like, Clemson could still certainly go on and win the ACC. Now, will they if they can't beat a Florida State team? That's probably another debate. But I don't even know that you're like playing spoiler this early in the year or anything like that. So I do think it goes both ways. That said, zero pressure on Florida State. That probably helps. Do they get a little bit of a spark from Brock Glenn? Now, again, I don't think Brock is ready to start, and I certainly don't think he's ready to start against the best or the second best defense that Florida State will see all year. And so the spark is probably mitigated by the fact of the opponent and things like that. But do they maybe get a spark from Brock? Do they maybe buy in a little more? Do they maybe think like, okay, well, let's go out and play for him, win one for the Gipper type thing? Maybe there's an aspect of that. And so, yeah, they have nothing to lose. Go out there and play super hard. The problem with this Florida State team is they probably had nothing to lose against SMU either, right? Like, and they played hard for like a half, and they got punched in the mouth. Something unfortunate happened. Like, the interception bounces off of the tight end's hands, goes right to the defender. They take the ball, score immediately. Florida State out of the game. They quit at that point, right? And so if that, so I kind of expect the same thing. Right. If you're going to ask me like, well, but they don't have nothing to lose. Yeah, I think they'll play hard for a half, a quarter, 3/4, whatever that is. And at some point, something's going to go wrong, and good teams respond to that. Bad teams quit. Right. And so that's my worry. Now, if every break goes their way and everything tracks Florida State's direction, then they'll probably be fine. But that's just not how football works. You're going to turn the ball over at times with a or with a redshirt freshman quarterback. You're going to have bounces go. You're going to get a bad call. They are still ACC refs in this game, and so both teams will probably be very well familiar with bad calls. And so something bad is going to happen to you in this game. Like, something bad is going to happen to Clemson. Like, Cade will throw a turn. Cade will throw a pick. Like, Florida State's he'll have a strip sack. Like, Florida State will score on a busted coverage. Something bad will happen to Clemson. But I think Clemson's a fairly good team, and so they'll probably respond to that like good teams do. Something bad will happen to Florida State this game, and the question is, will they just quit like they did last week? And that's my concern. So yeah, nothing to lose, but how much to play for? That's probably the bigger question to me.
That's a great outlook on that. Clemson at Florida State this Saturday, October the 5th, 7:00 on ESPN. Clemson is a 16-point favorite. Now, if you would have told me after week 1 for Clemson, even with that loss that y'all had in the very first game, the walk-off field goal, I mean, that was not a beatdown by Georgia Tech. Right. It was a walk-off field goal. If you would have told me on September the 1st that Clemson would be a 16-point favorite in this game, I would have said, TJ, you've been hitting some of that whiskey you got when you went to Ireland. Yeah. And I'm going to drive down there and I'm going to get you some help or something. But that's where we're at. Just throwing this out there, and I know we're going to talk about this on your channel. Clemson has a lot to prove, and I'm hoping that our Tigers, that they don't take their eyes off of you guys. So this is going to be very, very interesting. What is your keys to the game for Florida State at this point? I mean, are we looking at trying to upset Clemson? I mean, I know that's like a duh statement. It's like, duh, of course. But I'm just asking where you're at right now. Would you just take a close loss where maybe the redshirt freshman comes in and he provides a spark? I mean, where are you at now? Or you just want this season over and never think about it again?
Yeah, just try and get to December as fast as you can, right? That's half of it. In all honesty, this sounds so ridiculous to have to say, but I think it's effort. I think the number one thing that we want to see this weekend is effort. And can Florida State give effort for all 4 quarters? I don't think they're good enough to even really get close to winning this game. And I mean, that sucks to say, right? Like, even as a Clemson fan, you probably don't, I mean, you want to win the game. And so maybe you're happy about that, but even Clemson fans, like, probably want this to be like a little bit competitive, like an enjoyable game to watch. I mean, this has the potential to be NC State Part 2. Like, and is that real? I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe Clemson fans are in the comments right now saying, yes, TJ, that's what we want. So, we remember 2013 and we want that bad as many times as we can get it. But I mean, I don't know. I think most Clemson fans are pretty reasonable and say, like, well, yeah, we don't want just blowouts. Like, we want to have some fun. Like, we want Saturdays to be somewhat suspenseful, and maybe we win it going away, but like not a blowout every single time. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that, if you're Florida State, like, what you're looking for is you're looking for effort. And last week, I think they quit in the second half when they got down by a couple of touchdowns. They just quit. And I think that's human nature. I think I'm not super surprised by that. But if you're Florida State, you want to see effort all 4 quarters, right? And none of the quitting crap. You want to see an intensity and hey, I actually care about this. I'm not just here for, like, just prove some of the narratives. I'm just here for money. I'm just here for, to be a mercenary. I'm just here to collect my NIL check and go home. Like, actually care. Right. Actually provide the effort. I think that, you'd like to, keys to the game, you want to see Brock be as careful as he can, but also, like, you don't want to just see run, pass, punt, right? Like, you do want to see some creativity. I don't think the coaching has been very good. I mean, maybe DJ being banged up has limited that. Maybe they do a little bit more. I mean, Florida State was super successful with the Wildcat in Charlotte. I don't know how successful that's going to be. I don't know that you can really run the ball like that against Clemson, but maybe sprinkle some of that in. Maybe, I mean, you're going to have to probably get creative, and maybe that's running a trick play or two. So yeah, I mean, I think you're looking for effort. You're looking for an intensity. And then, like you said, maybe a little bit of a spark from Glenn. I don't really know how confident I am that he can lead you to victory in this, but I mean, if your effort's good and you're down by 7 or 10 at the half, and you can somewhat stick around in this thing, then maybe you make it interesting late. If you cover, I mean, honestly, the spread opened up at like 14. And I thought that was way too low. I still think 16 is too low. But if you could cover the spread in this game, I know that sounds like a stupid thing. If you were to lose this game by 10, I think you'd feel pretty good coming out of it, right? Like, not great because you lost and you're 1-5 at that point, and it's probably going to be the worst season in FSU history in my lifetime. But if you could lose by 10, then I think you go into the bye week with, like, we lost to Clemson by 10. Like, we could beat Duke, right? Like, we get 2 weeks to prepare for Duke, right? Like, we could win that game. And I don't think that that's where Florida State should be as a program, but that's where they're at this season. Now, you lose to Clemson by 30, which is certainly what it could turn into. I mean, at that point, you're like, man, this is embarrassing. You got professors probably reading books again up there in the top of the stadium. So yeah, I the game, try and keep it close and play hard, right? Like elementary type stuff.
Well, we will see this coming Saturday, 7:00 on ESPN. TJ, it's always great to have you on here. Of course, I have your information, your channel links below this video, College Football Addiction, Double Fries, No Slaw, which the last time I turned that around and you called me out, you're like, man, who wants double slaw? And I'm like, old church ladies, that's who. They want it with their hot dogs. But tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, just like you said, here on YouTube, Double Fries, No Slaw for mostly FSU stuff. And then College Football Addiction, try to really be pretty diverse there. I don't do as much Florida State stuff there, maybe a little bit here and there, but kind of all national stuff when it is relevant. Try to hit some of the big games, talk about some of the big matchups that are happening each week. And so come check us out over there. We have a really good time.
Yeah, they do, and you do an incredible job. I'll tell you this: when I watch your channel, I'm sitting there going, "Man, I'm watching a major network." I mean, I really am. It looks like a major network, so you're doing a great job over there, and you're having a lot of fun doing it. Folks, go check out TJ. Hope you'll subscribe here. It is free, and drop a line and let me know that you're here. Hey, if you want to trash talk, let's go for it. If you like getting all worked up over college football, if you like to almost get in a fist fight over it, I hope you'll stay here. It's good to see you as always. Go Tigers.